Welcome to Moonlit Fly Fishing. I'm Brandon Moon, and tonight we're going to be tying up a March brown variation of my Quillstrike Euro Nymph. This is a really quick, easy tie, very effective and very realistic. Has great movement in the water with the collar that we're going to tie in on this. And with that, I want to invite you to make sure you drop a comment, hit the like button, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. The hook that we're going to be using today is the Moonlit Premium TOGATTA ML502. This is a barbless jig hook, 1X strong. We're going to tie this in a size 14 today. Tie it in a size 10 through 14. The bead is a metallic coffee in a 3.0 millimeter to match the 14. We're going to start our burnt orange thread in 8/0 right behind the bead. We're going to wrap it all the way back to the bend of the hook, snip it out. I'm going to use some Moonlit India henback saddle in the cinnamon ginger dyed color. And I'm just going to take some of the bigger feathers at the very top, and I'm going to pull a couple fibers off of that to create a tail. You can use Coke de Leon for this if you'd like, or any other tailing material. This is just a good, cheap, inexpensive alternative. I'm going to take a small clump of that with the even tips. And I want to make sure I wrap this so that it comes in and I get that tie-in point there. So I'm going to secure that down and we'll wrap it forward. And before I get too far, I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim those hackle fibers out just behind the bead of the hook. And then we'll secure it down the rest of the way. Wrap that all the way forward. Clean out that junk there. Now I'm going to go back to the tail point where I started and tied in my tail. Before I get back all the way, I'm going to take and stop, and I'm going to pull just behind the tail just to kind of help prop that up, and then we'll wrap the rest of the way back. I'm going to take Semperfli's Perfect Quills 3 millimeter in brown, and I'm going to tie this in with the sticky point against the thread and the darker colors on the bottom side. I'm using this burnt orange because it's going to give a lighter underbody through this pattern as well, giving it better segmentation. So I'm just going to trim that excess out, wrap all the way up to the front. I'm going to taper this body with about a 3-step taper, so I'll wrap back and forward. And then I'll wrap back again, stopping short of my previous wrap, and forward. And then back again, and then forward. This is just going to give me a nice smooth taper. I'll half hitch that with my fingers there. Set it off to the side so I can use the rotary feature. Now I'm going to take that quill and wrap that with the dark side facing the back. And then I'm just going to have a little bit of an overlap touching wraps here. That's going to create that quill body look and effect. And I'm going to wrap this basically all the way up to the bead just so that I get a nice smooth body all the way forward. Now I'm going to tie that off. Secure it down with a couple wraps in front. I'm going to hang it off to the side. Razor blades are your best friend. Just take that razor blade, snip it out. Cuts a nice clean cut there. Now I'm going to half hitch this again just so that I can use my resin and rotate my hook just good enough to cure the whole thing. So I'm going to take some Solarez UV thin. I'm just going to put some on the top of the hook, some on the bottom. And then I'm going to take my resin bodkin that I have, and I'm just going to smooth that out across the body. Once we finish doing that, we'll take our UV pin and cure it. This is the Moonlit Quick Adjust Quick Dry Pin. Works great. We've cured that off. Now I'm just going to take and wrap back to create my thorax here. For my thorax, I'm taking some rust brown Moonlit pine squirrel dubbing. And I'm just going to take a small amount of that. I don't need very much. And when dubbing, if you want a nice tight dubbing noodle, then don't put too much on your thread. Dub small amounts at a time. So we'll create a thorax there. Now I'm going to take and spin my thread counterclockwise. Take my Smayan thread splitter. Once I've let that spin just a little bit, I'm just going to kind of help flatten that out with a flat surface there. This has a point on the end of it that I can just take and capture that thread and split it. And you can see it splits right there. And once I split it, I'm just going to take my finger to hold it open. And I want that split up high, close to the bead and the hook. Now I'm just going to take a small amount of dubbing and I'm just going to put it in there, kind of halfway centered, but a little, probably more 3/4 and 1/4, just so that it grabs on there and gets a good grip. Now I'm going to take and spin my bobbin clockwise, so opposite. And you can see that as I spin that clockwise, it's going to create, just like in a dubbing loop, with my dubbing there. And we'll give that a good spin till it's nice and tight. I'm just going to kind of preen it out a little bit. Now I'm going to wrap this, make sure and preen those fibers as I'm wrapping. This is just going to give it a nice kind of soft hackle collar flowy effect, similar to what a CDC would do, but with more durability. You can pull and trim some of those fibers out. A few wraps to create the collar. To finish this out, I'm going to use super glue, and I'm just going to put a small amount of the Loctite super glue on this thread. You don't have to, and you can use head cement. I just like the super glue over head cement. A couple wraps over the top, get that sunk in. Take my whip finish tool, and we'll just whip finish and help seat that into that glue as it's drying. And that'll give me a nice secure knot that's going to last and be durable. Snip that out. Now I can preen any fibers that I need to clean that up, and then I'll be good. I'm also going to take a little dubbing brush here and brush those fibers rearward just a little bit more. And there you have the March Brown Quillstrike Nymph, Euro Nymph. Thank you.